Okay, we just went over the concept of aggregate supply and aggregate demand, so now we're going to take the quiz on it. Question number 1. Which of the following occurrences would lead to an increase in aggregate demand? Select all the items that apply. So they said increase in aggregate demand. We can come back to our table right here. Increase in aggregate demand, business confidence and consumer confidence. That is a choice. Oops, don't double click it. Government increases spending and reduces taxes. Exports grow and or imports decline, and the Federal Reserve lowers interest rates. So that one's incorrect because that says raises. And imports increase while exports decrease is going to be incorrect as well because that means that aggregate demand is decreasing. Which of the following factors would decrease aggregate supply? Subsidies for business development, higher business taxes, higher prices for inputs such as the price of oil, better trained workers. So we're looking at what would decrease aggregate supply. So we can go here, we're going to look at decrease in aggregate supply, higher prices of inputs, decrease foreign competition and international trade, less skilled workers, and higher taxes. So we'll go back here. So that is a increase in supply, so that's incorrect. Higher business taxes, that is correct because that's going to decrease the available capital, money, whatever, because of the increased expense. Higher inputs, that is also going to decrease supply because you're going to have to pay more for what you were getting, the same thing you were getting before. Better trained workers, that is not it because that is going to increase your supply because you're going to have more productive and efficient workers. Okay. What happened to macroeconomic equilibrium when AD shifted from the black line to the blue line while AS remained unchanged? So we're looking at aggregate demand and they're wanting to know shifting from the black line to the blue line. And the supply line is here and it doesn't change. So we're going from A to B. So we're going to have an increase in demand because we're going to the right. What happened? Oh, excuse me. What happened to the macroeconomic equilibrium? Excuse me. When we go here, it's going to increase because the aggregate demand increases. So the price level is going to increase and the real GDP is going to increase. Number 4, aggregate supply is defined as the value of goods and services produced by a particular supplier in a year, value of goods and service produced in a country minus exports, the total consumptions for final goods and services at different price levels during a period of time, the total production of final goods and services at a range of price levels during a period of time. So we know that it's not this one. It's not a particular supplier. And we know that it's not this. It's not minus exports because minus exports would be gross. We know that it's not here because it's not during a period of time. So it's going to be your total consumption. Aggregate demand is defined as the total production of final goods and services at a range of price levels during a period of time, amount of investments individuals make in a year, amount of a good or service consumers will purchase, total consumption of final goods and services at different price levels during a period of time. So let's see. It's not gonna be the total production because it's demand, so it's gonna be total consumption. And I'm actually gonna go back and look at that last one. Okay, yeah, total consumption. Wait, excuse me, total production. I don't know how that happened. Okay, aggregate supply, total production. Aggregate demand, um, total consumption. Question number 6. All right, so we're looking at this graph again, but now we are shifting the supply and the demand is staying the same. Point C on the graph indicates blank, then point A on the graph. So if we're looking at point C, these are all equilibrium points because these are all where they cross each other. If we're looking at point C versus point A is the original, we can see that C is going to shift to the right, so it's going to be a lower value. Wait, excuse me. Graph indicates a lower value because you've got lower prices but a higher GDP because your supply is greater. No, so it would be a higher value, excuse me. When we're shifting to the right, it's going to be an increase. That is how I have interpreted their notes thus far. So we go ahead and save all responses. And we're going to submit, and hopefully those were not completely incorrect. If they were, I'm so sorry. Submit quiz. Yep. Cool. So all those were correct. So if you want to review, you can just go back and read through those questions and you can know that the explanations were correct. So awesome. So next we are going to do inflation and unemployment. So look for that.